how far it has come in Delta State. You're still on to Thursday's edition of Morning Ride, and it's now time for our next spot, which is the newspaper headline segment. I have here with me our newspaper analyst, Mr. Bonnie Akeze, who will be doing justice to the issues that will be brought to the fore. But in the meantime, I will read out headlines coming from different newspapers. And we will begin with the Guardian newspapers. Yes, the Guardian newspapers. These are the headlines coming from the Guardian newspapers. The major story here says, 2 years later, international travel restriction spark fresh row over absence of ambassadors. At the top strip, it says EFCC decries mind-boggling fraud at NNPCL, wants unexplained wealth criminalized. 2027, don't underrate Tinubu, Ribadu wants opposition. UAE bans transit visas, imposes stricter entry rules for Nigerians. Mutual funds rise by 105% to 5.9 trillion naira in HI on higher demand yields. Japa, Canada raises minimum proof of funds to 7 million naira per immigrant. Niger attack claims 13 as 20 bandits die in Kwara. Again, gunmen raid Aguata Local Government Council. I'll take that again. Again, 20 gunmen raid Aguata Local Council, kills 4. And lastly, from the Guardian newspapers, it says delegates will decide who gets ADC's presidential ticket, says Atiku's spokesperson. Quickly moving on to the next newspaper, which is the Nigerian Tribune. The major story here says, Buhari's popularity won 2.5 million votes for APC in 2015. This is coming from ex-SGF Mustafa. The writer to that story says, ACN, CPC, other merger parties brought 3 million votes. Buhari administration stood on pillars of integrity. This is coming from Tinubu. At the top strip, it says, Ponzi schemes. Senate faults weak regulatory rules by CBN, SEC, and others. Probes loss of 1.3 trillion naira in CBEX crash. Court slams £1 million damages against Union Bank over breach and negligence. Awards 50 million naira damages in favor of Nikon Investment Limited. Union Bank heads to appeal court. UAE imposes fresh visa conditions on Nigerians, bans transit visa. 2027, ADC raises the alarm, alleges plot to clamp down on opposition leaders. Ex-APC National Chairman Ganduje appointed FAN Board Chairman. 3 police officers, 2 soldiers die as security forces kill 30 bandits in Katsina. Suspected bandits kill 13 in Niger community. Nigeria's oil rig count hits 46. This is coming from NUPRC. And lastly, ICPC recovers 21 billion naira from salary fraud in one investigation. False revenue declared by NNPCL. All right, moving on to the Nation newspaper. Aviation experts knock splash of cash by state on unviable airport. 369.4 billion naira spent by 19 subnationals. FAN MD, only 3 airports profitable. At the top strip, International Council of Beverages Association tackles WHO on SSB tax. Nigeria's tax reform gets IMF backing. FIRS good to run it. Court nullifies conversion of Nikon's £130.7 million by Union Bank. EFCC seeks law to criminalize unexplained wealth. And lastly, Tinubu's reforms building on Buhari's legacy. The Daily Trust is next. We uncovered mind-boggling corruption in the oil sector. This is coming from EFCC. Tinubu didn't make Buhari president. This is coming from Bas Mustafa. Strike. FCT mulls third term extension for primary schools. I'll defeat Matawale before 10 a.m. on election day. This is coming from Zamfara Governor. And 13 killed as bandits attack Niger communities. 30 gunmen neutralized in Katsina. Quickly moving on to this day newspaper, it says, Bas Mustafa, Buhari allowed institution to work, prioritized structure over showmanship. Says ex-president constant 12 million votes birthed his presidency in 2015. Tinubu, my predecessor showed humility, restraint, maturity in exercise of presidential powers. Obaibena, 40 years ago, I was the last journalist to interview Buhari just before IBB school. At the top strip, Lukman, coalition will avoid past mistakes of Atiku, Obi to defeat Tinubu in 2027. Discloses whoever emerges presidential candidate will get massive support. Coalition won't stand on anybody's mandate. Tinubu planning clampdown on opposition leaders. Abdullahi raises the alarm. Coalition dead on arrival, declares ACF spokesperson. And lastly, looking at this day newspaper, it says, visa reciprocity. Federal government urges U.S. to reconsider single entry decision. The next is the Daily Independent newspaper. The top stories here says, U.S. visa restriction. It's about reciprocity on Nigeria. This is coming from experts. UAE stops transit visa for Nigerians. Senate orders probe into Ponzi schemes after 1.3 trillion naira CBEX collapse. Moves to amend Electricity Act to rescue falling power sector. EFCC chair to lawmakers. Criminalize unexplained wealth or forget anti-corruption victory. Lawyers submit petition to House of Reps against NMDPRA MD. And lastly, 2015, this is coming from Bas Mustafa. He says, nobody made Buhari president. The Vanguard newspaper is next. It says, 2027, don't underestimate Tinubu, Ribadu wants opposition. And there are lots of riders there. One of them says, ADC slams presidency over alleged plot to overthrow Tinubu. Says it's ploy to repress opposition. Okay, at the top strip, it says, federal government secures $747 million loan for Lagos-Calabar Highway. Federal government targeting food sufficiency through PPP. This is coming from Information Minister. And this one here says, no one single-handedly made Buhari president in 2015, says ex-SGF Bas Mustafa. And lastly, looking at the Vanguard newspaper, it says, governors renew push to delist labor from exclusive lists. The Punch newspaper is the next newspaper. It says, diplomatic tensions. Federal government pushes back as US, UAE tighten visa rules. Ministry begins high-stakes negotiation as officials fault US over reciprocity claim. At the bottom strip, it says, US meeting, African leaders seek Trump support to develop resources. IMF pledges support for FIRS on tax reforms. Local government poll. Police restrict movement in Lagos. Deploy squads. And lastly, Tinubu government seeking excuse to clamp down on coalition. This is coming from ADC. The Daily Times newspaper is next. Ponzi. Senate task federal government to protect vulnerable citizens from financial predators. Wike orders security crackdown on one-chance syndicates. Capital punishment awaits vandals of electricity infrastructure. Onanuga's alleged overthrow plot, reckless. ADC cautions presidency. And lastly, Nigeria condemns US visa policy shift, demands fairness in bilateral ties. All right, that is it on the newspapers. We'll now head back to the studio. I have here with me our newspaper analyst, who is no other than Mr. Bonny Akeze. Good morning, Mr. Bonny.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, and how is the weather?
The weather is good here.
That's beautiful. Well, one of the headlines that have repeatedly come up in almost all the newspapers is the Ponzi scheme and the Senate tax scheme, the federal government to protect vulnerable citizens from financial predators. But here is my question. Is it totally the responsibility of the federal government to protect the citizens, or the citizens to clamp down on being content with what they have rather than being greedy? Because there are two sides of this. So what's your take on it?
Okay. You know, the society functions in both. I've been involved in the conversation on this on another platform, and I did say that Nigeria should be one of the world's most fertile ground for Ponzi schemes, because by our mindset we can easily be duped. We have a society where people just make money without earning it. Look at, I had one of the headlines when the EFCC chairman, Lukayode, was talking about unexplained wealth. So, in a society where people just make money, where people are not content driven, any Ponzi schemes are bound to thrive. A Nigerian is ready to sell his or her gold and use it to purchase a sand packed from his background, but packaged in foreign leather. Anything that looks at it. So that is the extent we are not content driven. You know, and because everybody wants to make money, not just earn money. What does Ponzi scheme do? Ponzi scheme wants you to earn money without making it. Gives you funny this thing that you put 10,000 naira, you will get 100,000 or 50,000 naira.
But doesn't that promote greed?
That's what I'm saying.
For the money
No. You see, where if you read Lombroso theory of crime and criminality, you see the motivation of a criminal. You know, you see those. So that is still, it's like a society. Like most of the time, all these things you see, like it's not like one is rationalizing graft and fraud. You see the Yahoo bots, what they are doing are still not different with what is going on in the public sector, in the banking sector, in businesses. In fact, if you go to there is no price system that aligns with value in Nigeria. When that message, that words you hear from maybe in the Onitsha main market where you go to buy something, the language in which the hawker, the seller, the trader is describing his good is not, it does not reflect the value of the good. It is only his profit motive. So if you the buyer, you don't have strong bargaining power, you are scammed. Because everybody is on the go, want to make money. We have this casino mentality. You drop a coin and you're expecting bumper flow of coin. So that is it. So that is, yes, but you can never remove it. It is issue of protecting the citizen. You can never remove it as part of the responsibility of the government. So I think there should be, apart from laws, there should also be mindset. The government has the instrumentalities of mindset. They use it for elections. Mind control,
so
mindset control.
You
can deploy it. These are the kind of things our information bureau, like what do you call it? A national orientation agency. These are the kind of work they're supposed to do. The information and culture and national orientation, authorities. These are the kind of things they are supposed to do, both at state, local government, and national level.
Great. Well, another headline that stood out in almost all the newspapers, this one is coming from Daily Independent. It puts it this way: U.S. visa restrictions. It is about reciprocity on Nigeria. This is coming from Expert. And the writer here says UAE stops transit visa for Nigerians. Well, statement by Nigeria on United States visa restriction. In all they said, summarily, they acknowledged that the sovereign right of every country to determine its immigration policies, but the country is respectfully urging the United States to reconsider the decision in the spirit of partnership, cooperation, and shared global responsibility. Now, they also say diplomatic engagements are ongoing, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs remains committed to pursuing a resolution that reflects fairness and upholds the values of mutual interests. Now, I just read an excerpt from a statement by Nigeria on the United States visa restriction. Okay. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, this government, naturally, will do what government will do. It's a diplomatic issue. But beyond that, you ask yourself, what is the nature of our relationship with the U.S., the Nigerian government and the Nigerian state and the U.S. state? Is it that you look at it as a mutual relationship? But is it really an equal relationship? Is it really an equal relationship? So that's
so a relationship can be mutual without.
But it's not equal. It could be mutual, but it is not equal.
Right.
So that is what it is. Well, I had a right that every country is a sovereign right to determine their. So Nigeria should firm up our own strength in that relationship. If not, when we have a peripheral relationship, they are the center, where the peripheral and we are more of the wings and caprices of what they want. This is what you see. So it is what makes a strong nation. It's that matters. What do you bring to the table and the international relations? What do you bring, to the table and your bilateral relationship? So it is left for us as a country, it's left for our leaders to find out whether we are really the not just the big Nigerian, but the regional power in the ECOWAS sub-region, and how our relationship with these people have been all through the years. It is something that the managers of our international affairs should live up to.
But do you think that Nigeria as a country could intervene, because the UAE now has stopped transit visa for Nigerians? Do you think that they can intervene and make UAE to go back on their decision if they firm up according to what you say?
Of course, if it's repair of what type of a relationship. If you go back to history, where we're coming from, it is. I'm not just being a subsidiary or a rejectee. Who is UAE? Ordinarily, if Nigeria had managed its affairs and be the giant of Africa, it is. You know, so it is like when we say when Charles Merriam would say when sages, old men display senility instead of sagacity, when hereditary lions begin to produce like axe, the things are falling apart. So that is what we're seeing. That's what I was saying. Nigeria, that's supposed to be a great power on the African continent, and that every other person will be cutting our relationship. Nigeria is being put on the carpet by, could be put on the carpet by anybody. That is the situation we have.
Okay, so it's left for the federal government to go back to the drawing board and firm up in your words. Okay, another headline that stood out was they took us back to 2015. And this one is coming from Boss Mustafa. It says, nobody made Buhari president. This is coming from Boss Mustafa, as Gowon defends Buhari's legacy, says Buhari's integrity unshaken. Even critics can't deny it. This is 10 years after, and this is coming to the fore. Now, why all this? What's your take on it?
Well, most of the time, I don't like to preoccupy myself with the things that are coming from that. Since politicians are speaking for themselves. But the only one I will comment on is one person making a president. It's ridiculous because it is paradoxical in the context when you are contextualizing what we mean by democracy. How can you say in a country, you can say somebody played a high-profile role, not that one person can make a governor or make a president. So it's just those convoluted statements that politicians make that undermine the sensibility of citizens, informed persons for that matter. There's no way one person will make a president. Persons play different roles. Some persons may have played a more significant and most profile role, but that not zeroes it down that the person all alone made the president. That is in the context I will comment on that.
Okay. So EFCC are seeking for a law to criminalize unexplained wealth from individuals.
Yes.
So will this stand? What's your take on it? What do you think about it?
This is the time honored. This is our traditional time honored way of censoring the ill-gotten wealth. In our original society, nobody reckons with wealth that cannot be explained. Nobody reckons well. Our people, they used to say that you earn money, you don't make money. In Amanacho Shimuluma said, that is one ego. Only this person a ego.
You work for it.
No ego because that he has made money. Ego means he has earned money. They differentiate between the two. So what EFCC is saying is that we want to question all that has made money. Let them explain how we have earned money, that he has earned it. That is what he said. He was saying that in reflection of, he said, mind-boggling fraud at NNPC. You remember on this program that I have said that I don't want to talk about NNPC, the customs, because most of the time they just call out the governors, the police, that's how the Yahoo boys. That's what most of the time anti-graft agencies have been doing. They bring a petition against. I am not absolving those people. I'm not saying that it cannot be proved. Where the real scam is going on they are not being touched. And I thank this current EFCC chairman. I think given everything, you will see that he's somebody who has the mindset to do his work. Shortly after he assumed office in the first year, he cried out. He said the biggest fraud in Nigeria, or the most, I think he said over 75%, is happening in the financial sector, financial institutions. Who has taken that up? It's coming. So, if I bet you that if we have a government in this country who will say, Operation show how you come about your net worth in terms of wealth, I think it was an earthquake will happen in this country. So and on that context, you can see that the type of anti-corruption we are doing, we are just still scratching the surface. When we go to forensic investigation, Madam Perpetua Boba, yes, you own this mighty complex along DBS Road. Please, let us see, put such light on you and your earning in the last 10 years, in the last 20 years. Let us see what you have earned, how you have earned them, and how you have come about this thing. I wonder who will be left.
Well, before we let you go, this one here says 13 killed as bandits attack Niger communities. 30 gunmen neutralized in Katsina, and there's another report from Agwata that a number of people have also been attacked and killed. The question is there ever going to be an end to all of these?
That is the question.
Because it seems like when it seems like, you know, it has stopped, we hear another one from different areas. So
because the question now keeps resonating. How did we get here? How did we get here? You know, it's like the government, we say like the Gladstone saying, because government will say we have done this, we have done it. But it's like each time they find a solution, the question is changed. Each time they find an answer to the question, the question is changed. So I don't know. Well, but I also think that every social ill is a product of the society, and that if the managers of that society takes a deep dive into the root cause, they'll be able to provide solution. You know, like in political economy, we say that the model for explanation, for analysis, for interpretation, they are different from the model for decision making. Because if I want to interpret a certain economic model to you in the class, I'll be looking at the philosophy underlying it. I will be looking at the principles, the theories, and I will be setting up calculus to look at the shifting patterns, you know. But when I get to take a decision, I am going to bring all those interpretations to real life situation. Real life situation. I think these are the things, the matrix we don't use when we're making decisions, that more often than not we don't get the result, you know, the result that speaks to true life situation. And that is why most of the time our public policies, they don't go to affect the people, because the laws, like I said here, every law is a policy given legal cloaking, you know. So when you do a policy and you have not done the decision making model, you don't use the decision making model to arrive to that policy, you are about to have a backlash that most of the time you get what we call the Cobra effect. A Cobra effect in terms of when you create more problems trying to solve a particular problem. You even create a worse problem. I can tell you that to many people, that is what we experience in the removal of subsidy. Wanted to solve a scorching problem, then you created a more hell-like situation. So that is so in solving this security challenge, we need policymakers need to do a deep dive, on the true life situation that they are causing, how the drivers and the enablers of the situation reside. Because once you want to solve any problem, once you root out the root cause, every other thing is like the domino theory. When you strike the head, every other thing collapses. Every other thing collapses in a succession. So that's why in doctors, you do diagnosis, you go to lab, you find out what is causing it. What do you treat in malaria? It's not the headache and the feverish condition. You attack the plasmodium, and once the plasmodium is flushed out from the bloodstream, every other thing, the cold disappears, the nausea disappears, everything disappears. So, but when you go and start taking pain relievers, taking things to ameliorate the nausea, the plasmodium is still there. It will still regenerate, and the malaria, you suppress the symptom. After the times, the thing comes up. But if you go straight, infuse the right drugs into the bloodstream that flushes out the plasmodium and its mutation, the person gets well. So that is how solving the problem of society is. You must get to what are the drivers and enablers of this prevailing phenomenon. Once the drivers and the enablers are out, everything is off. If you don't do that, and you begin to you treat the symptoms, you will just be prevaricating around the issue, and that's what they call begging the question.
Okay, so it's on this note that we'll draw the curtains on today's edition of the newspaper headline segment. In the words of Mr. Bonny, we've got to look at the drivers and the enablers. When both of them are critically looked at, then a solution can begin from that point. Thank you so much, Mr. Bonny, for being part of today's newspaper headline segment. We would have loved to keep you longer. You're always doing justice to all the issues we bring to the fore.
There's always another day.
There's always another day, and we are so grateful for you. Thank you. It's still Thursday's edition of Morning Ride. Stay tuned. Our next sport is the interview segment. Don't go anywhere.
Alpha Delta people, in less than 22 months, Governor Borowori don show say im promise not be plenty talk wey dey full basket, not be cho with im more agenda, meaningful development, opportunity for all, realistic reforms, and enhanced